The boar came out of the trees like a boulder loosed from a mountain, a low thunder of hooves and snorting breath, wet tusks glistening red with the blood of some lesser beast. Robert Baratheon laughed as it charged. The sound rolled through the clearing, great and booming, scattering birds from the branches. "Come on then, you bastard!" he roared, planting his boots in the churned earth. His great spear dipped for a heartbeat as he swayed, the strong wine heavy in his blood, then steadied again with a grunt. Robert Baratheon's waiting. Lancel Lannister's fingers clenched white around the wineskin. He stood just behind the king, panic clawing up his throat. "Your Grace," he tried, voice cracking. "Perhaps." "Shut your mouth, boy," Robert snarled without turning. "I fought Boar before you were whelped." The boar hit the edge of the clearing at a dead run, flanks heaving, small black eyes fixed on the man before it. Leaves and clods of earth exploded under its hooves. Its breath came harsh and high, almost a scream, as it lowered its head to drive its tusks home. Ser Barristan Selmy saw then, with the clarity that comes only at the edge of disaster, that Robert's stance was wrong. The spearhead angled a little too low, the king's right boot sunk too deep in the mud. The strong wine had loosened the man's reflexes, dulled the sharpness that had once felled Rhaegar Targaryen on the trident. "Your Grace," Barristan shouted, already moving, sword half-drawn. Robert thrust as the beast came in. The steel point struck home just as the boar twisted, sliding along thick hide, splitting skin but not sinking deep enough. The impact wrenched the spear sideways, tearing it from Robert's hands. The king staggered. The boar's shoulder slammed into him like a hammer. Robert's breath burst from his lungs in a hoarse grunt, the world flashing white with pain. For a heartbeat he saw only the curve of tusks. The mad, rolling eye smelled the rank heat of the animal's breath. Then fire seared through his side as a tusk ripped across him, punching through leather, mail, flesh. He hit the ground hard. Mud and blood splashed his face, cold and hot at once. His vision swam. Barristan was there in the next instant. The Lord Commander's sword flashed, bright and merciless. He stepped into the boar's turn, steel biting into thick neck. The beast shrieked, a hideous, gurgling sound, thrashing, front hooves tearing pits into the earth. It wheeled, trying to reach the man with the sword, tusks slashing wildly. Barristan did not back away. He drove in again, weight behind the blow. The blade cut through gristle and bone. Hot blood fountained, spraying Barristan's face, spattering Lancel's fine green cloak. The boar collapsed in the dirt, limbs convulsing, breath rattling out in a broken wheeze. "Your Grace," Barristan turned at once, his sword already forgotten, flung behind him to kneel at Robert's side. Robert lay on his back, staring up at the canopy of dark branches overhead. The world tilted, swinging slowly around him. He could feel the wetness spreading across his side, warmth leaking out into the cold evening air. Every breath was a knife. "Ha!" he managed, a raw, breathless sound that wanted to be a laugh. "Got the bastard." "My lord, you must not move," Barristan said. His voice was calm, but his hands were not. They pressed down on Robert's side and came away slick and red. Robert's head lolled toward him. "Selmy," he rasped. Did I take him?" Barristan glanced at the carcass, the broken spear still jutting from its shoulder. "Aye, your Grace," he said softly. "You took him." Lancel had gone pale as milk. He stumbled forward, dropping to his knees, the wineskin tumbling from his hand into the mud. Strong wine bled out into the earth. "Uncle, your Grace." He reached for Robert's arm with shaking fingers. It was just a bit more wine, I did not." Robert seized him by the front of his doublet with a sudden, surprising strength. "Listen, boy," he growled, spittle flecking his beard. "You do as a king tells you. Remember that." His grip loosened. The effort cost him. "7 hells, I'm cold." "Call the others," Barristan said sharply. "Now." He tore strips from his own cloak to bind the wound, hands steady by force of long habit. We must get him back to the camp, and send riders for a maester, fast ones. Lancel lurched to his feet and ran, his boots slipping in mud, heart pounding in his ears. Behind him, the king's breathing came harsh and ragged, each exhale a groan swallowed between clenched teeth. Robert stared up at the sky, where the last light of day seeped away between the branches. Lyanna's face swam before him unbidden, dark hair spread across a pillow of blood. "Promise me, Ned," she whispered, distant as a dream. "Not yet," Robert muttered to the empty sky, to the dead girl or to the gods, he did not know. "You don't take me yet." Eddard Stark stood upon the balcony outside his solar and watched the city wake. King's Landing rose out of the mist in layers of crooked stone, red roofs and slanting alleys, chimneys already sending up thin threads of smoke. The air was thick with the smell of ash and salt and the tannery stench that never quite left the lower city. Vendors' cries drifted faintly up from the streets as shutters banged open. Somewhere a dog barked. The raven on his wrist shifted, claws pricking his glove. Its dark eyes gleamed, watchful and impatient. The thin strip of crimson silk tied to its leg fluttered in the breeze. A royal ribbon. He had known the message would not be good when the bird came beating at his window in the gray of dawn. Ravens seldom carried glad tidings. Still, his heart had clenched as he broke the wax and saw the cramped, hurried hand. The words swam again before his inner eye. "Boar, injured, strong wine, come at once, Robert." Ned closed his eyes for a moment, forcing down the tide of old memories that name dredged up when set beside the word Boar. A different forest, a dead girl, blood on the snow instead of mud. He heard her again, as he always did when fear crept in at the edges. "Promise me, if the gods mean to mock me," he thought bitterly, "they have a cruel wit." Behind him, boot steps scuffed on the stone floor. "My lord Hand," said a soft voice, smooth as oiled silk. Ned did not need to turn to know Varys had entered. The master of whispers moved like a shadow dressed in powder and silk, his scent of lavender and strange perfumes always preceding him. "My lord," Varys said again, gliding closer. "A raven from the king's hunting party, I hear. Will his grace be returning to us soon?" Ned opened his eyes and lowered his arm. The raven hopped to the parapet, cocked its head, and let out a harsh croak. "He lives," Ned said. Saying it aloud eased something tight in his chest. "The message says his wound is grievous, but not yet mortal." "Ah!" Varys folded his hands into his voluminous sleeves. His round face arranged itself into a look of pious concern. "The gods are merciful, are they?" Ned asked more sharply than he intended. He looked down at the city again, at its teeming streets and crooked ways. "Sometimes I wonder." There was a soft rustle as Varys shifted his weight. "A hunting accident, they say?" Ned turned then. "The raven spoke only of a boar and strong wine," he said. "Too much of the latter, not enough of the former." His gaze narrowed. "You have heard something else." Varys lowered his eyes modestly. "Little birds whisper, my lord. They chirp of such small things as skins of wine and who pours them, and which queen grows impatient for her husband's death." The words hung between them like frost. Ned felt the chill of them run along his spine. "Say what you mean," he said. Varys sighed. "It is said, my lord, that his grace's cup was encouraged, that one of the king's squires, a young Lannister, was urged by certain fair hands to keep the wine flowing and the king's wits dimmed. If one wished a boar to find its mark, dulling the warrior's reflexes would be a most economical spear." Ned's jaw clenched. Lancel Lannister. He saw the boy's pale, eager face in his mind's eye, always hovering near Robert with a cup, ever ready to laugh at his jests. A boy in thrall to his queenly cousin, dazzled by her beauty. "You are saying the queen tried to kill the king," Ned said flatly. "I am saying," Varys replied, "that some in this city might find themselves better served by a widowed queen and a boy king than by a living Robert Baratheon. Young Joffrey is a malleable clay. his eyes lifted, dark and unreadable. And his mother a potter with a sure hand. Ned gripped the parapet until his fingers ached. Below, the city churned and muttered on, ignorant of the swords poised above it. If Robert dies, he said quietly, the realm falls into the queen's hands, and her father's. And if Robert lives? Varys asked. Ned thought of the letter, of the ink-blotted words that spoke of a wound in the king's side that bled and bled. Then the wolves and lions will circle him in his bed, he said. Either way, the realm teeters on a blade. You are the hand of the king, Varys murmured. It falls to you to make certain the blade does not slip. Ned turned back to the city. I will go to him, he said, before any others. He will hear the truth from me. Of course, Varys said. I have already taken the liberty of ordering a litter prepared. The King's Road is not forgiving to men who ride hard on an empty stomach. His smile was thin. And there are other riders abroad. Not all of them wear the king's colors. Ned glanced at him. You think the queen will move against him again? I think, Varys replied, that when a woman has put her hand to murder once, it grows easier to reach for the knife a second time. The camp stank of smoke and horse and blood. Men fell back as the litter passed, drawing aside with murmured prayers and uneasy glances. Torches guttered in the evening breeze, sending coils of greasy smoke up into the darkening sky. Somewhere a hound howled. Robert felt the motion of the litter as a distant, jarring thing, as though his body were something he had put down and forgotten. Every jolt sent a dull throb through his side, pulsing in time with his heart. Heat burned along the wound, a fierce, hungry glow. Sweat trickled from his brow into his beard, cold against fevered skin. Faster, he tried to say, but it came out as a rasp. We go as quick as we may, your grace, Barristan replied, looming above him, his lined face drawn and grave in the torchlight. The men must keep their footing. Robert turned his head, seeking the shape that had become so familiar these last weeks. A boy with lion's hair and a wineskin. Lancel hovered a few paces behind the litter, hands empty now, eyes fixed on the ground. His fine green cloak was stained with mud and blood. You? Robert croaked, the word tearing at his throat. Where's my bloody wine now, eh? Lancel flinched as if struck. I thought, your grace, that perhaps the maester... Maester, Robert spat weakly. Piss on his leeches. Bring me wine. Barristan's hand settled gently on the king's shoulder. No more for tonight, your grace, the maester said. Maester said, Robert mocked, but there was no strength in it. His head sank back against the rough canvas. They all say, they said Rhaegar was a great warrior, too. His lips twisted. I put a hammer through his damned chest. What do they say of him now? His vision blurred. For a heartbeat, the torches became soldiers' banners, snapping in a river wind. He smelled not the tang of boar's blood and leaf mold, but the stink of the trident, copper and mud and rain. Rhaegar's rubies flew through the air, flashing red as droplets of heart's blood. Robert's hand twitched, grasping for a weapon that was not there. Where's my hammer? He muttered. I should have brought it. Rest, your grace, Barristan said softly. Rest, Robert echoed. I rested. His eyes fluttered open, fixing on the old knight's face. I've done naught but rest since the trident, haven't I, Selmy? Drinking and feasting and fucking and hunting, letting other men rule in my name. Letting lions creep into my bed, into my counsel. Into my, the words tangled. His tongue felt thick. The world dimmed at the edges, as if the night were closing in around him. He became distantly aware of voices, low and urgent. Hands moved at his side, pressing, binding. The pain flared, a sudden spear of white-hot fire that ripped a hoarse cry from his throat. For a moment he was fully awake, gasping, every nerve screaming. Hold him, said a voice he did not know. Strong hands gripped his shoulders and legs. Something bitter and vile was forced between his teeth. He coughed, choked, spat, and the taste of it burned his tongue. "The wound is deep," the unfamiliar voice said, "but the tusk did not pierce lung or gut. If the bleeding is stanched and fever does not take him, he may yet live." "May," Barristan said, his voice like stone. "You will see that he does." "I am no god, sire," the voice answered. Robert blinked up at a stranger's face. A thin man with a balding pate and a pinched mouth, cloaked in the gray of the citadel. "Who are you?" Robert demanded thickly. "I am Maester Calrin, your grace," the man said. "Of Derry. The lord there lent me to your party." "Derry." Robert let the word roll around his mouth. "Used to be a Targaryen lickspittle, that one. Is he still?" The maester hesitated. "House Derry remains loyal to the crown, your grace." Robert barked something that might have been a laugh. "To the crown," he echoed. "And which damned head wears it now?" His eyes slid closed, too heavy to hold open. "Get me back to King's Landing," he muttered. I'll show them how a Baratheon dies. Or lives, whichever pisses them off more." The litter moved on. Lancel walked beside it, hands clenched tightly at his sides, nails biting into his palms. Each of the king's words seemed to echo in his skull, louder than the tramp of boots or the creak of leather. His stomach churned. It is said the king's cup was encouraged. Cersei's voice whispered in his memory, low and silken. He saw again the way her fingers had brushed his as she pressed the wineskin into his hands that morning, her smile as bright and cold as a polished blade. "He is a big man," she had said. "Takes a great deal of wine to slow him. See that his cup is never empty, Lancel. You would not fail your queen, would you?" Lancel squeezed his eyes shut for a moment as he walked, fighting the sting of tears. "I only did as she asked, as she commanded. I am nothing, a squire, a boy, a head." Robert groaned, a sound thick with pain. Lancel looked up at the king's broad, sweat-slick face. The tangled black beard shot through with gray. This was the man he had grown up hearing about at Casterly Rock. The demon of the trident, the storm that broke the dragon prince. Larger than life, they all said. Too loud, too fierce, too hungry for the world. Now he lay on a litter like any other wounded man, blood soaking his side, breath rattling in his chest. Lancel swallowed hard, while burning his throat. "Gods, what have I done?" By the time the royal party reached King's Landing, the sun had long since slipped below the horizon. The city loomed ahead as a jagged mass of shadow against the star-pricked sky, the walls a dark line broken by the glow of torches at the gates. The air was thicker here, heavy with the odors of too many people pressed too close together. As they passed beneath the gateway, the sounds of the city washed over them in waves. Distant laughter, the clatter of hooves on cobbles, the cry of a babe, the hoarse shouts of men at the docks. "Make way for the king!" a voice bellowed. The litter jolted as the bearers shifted their grip. Robert clenched his teeth to keep from groaning aloud. His side burned, his head throbbed, and his throat was raw with thirst. The strong wine he had begged for on the road had soured in his belly, leaving his mouth foul and dry. Light flared suddenly, bright and blinding. They were in the outer yard now, torches set high along the walls, their flames whipping in the breeze. Figures moved against the brightness. Guards in Lannister crimson and gold, servants running to and fro, a knot of courtiers gathering like crows scenting a corpse. At the top of the steps stood Cersei Lannister. She had dressed for a different sort of return, Robert thought sourly as his vision steadied. Her gown was a cascade of green velvet and gold brocade that caught the torchlight, her hair a river of spun gold falling over her shoulders. She looked every inch the queen of a realm at peace, come to greet her victorious husband. For half a heartbeat, a flicker of something like alarm crossed her face when she saw the blood-soaked bandages, the paleness of his skin. It was gone as quickly as it came, smoothed away into an expression of poised concern. "Robert," she cried, descending the steps with a flutter of skirts. "They said you were injured, but I did not." Her hands reached for him, hovering above his chest, careful not to touch the bandages. "My love, what have you done to yourself?" "Boar," he grunted. "Big brute. Not half so stubborn as your fool of a father, but ugly as any Lannister, I'll grant it that." There was a ripple of uneasy laughter from the onlookers. Cersei's smile tightened. "Bring him to his rooms," came another voice, sharp with command. Eddard Stark was already halfway down the steps, his long strides eating the distance. His gray eyes took in the litter, the wound, the maester hovering nearby. He looked older than Robert remembered from the days on the Trident. More lines at the corners of his eyes, more weight in his gaze. "Robert," he said, coming to the litter's side. "You damned fool." "Good to see you too, Ned," Robert wheezed, managing a crooked grin. "Hardly had a chance to empty the brothels before some pig tried to gut me. You bring me any decent whores in my absence." "If you can jest, you can live," Ned said. His mouth twitched despite himself. "We'll get you inside. Maester Pycelle is ready." "Pycelle?" Robert snorted weakly. "Old fraud will bleed me till I'm dry and call it healing." "Send Pycelle to me at once," Cersei said over his head, "and have the children wake. They must see their father and know he lives." "Joffrey is already here, your grace," said a guard at her shoulder. Robert turned his head. The boy stood a few paces back, flanked by Sandor Clegane and 2 Lannister guards, tall for his age with the long-legged awkwardness of adolescence. He held himself stiffly, jaw clenched, eyes fixed on his father's bandages. "Come closer, boy," Robert rasped. "What, are you afraid of a little blood?" Joffrey stepped forward, every movement controlled. "I am glad you are not dead, father," he said. His voice did not tremble. That, at least, was something of his in the lad, Robert thought, some steel under the silk. "Ha!" Robert coughed, a flare of pain breaking the sound. "So am I. I mean to beat some sense into you yet. Can't do that from a grave, can I?" There was another murmur of uneasy laughter, quickly stifled. "Enough," Ned said. "The king needs rest, not more jesting." He nodded to the litter-bearers. "To his chambers." As they moved off, Robert caught a last glimpse of Cersei's face. Her green eyes were fixed on Ned, cold and sharp. Behind the mask of wifely concern, he saw fury, calculation. He could almost hear her thoughts. "The boar missed. The gods failed me. Now what?" Ned walked beside the litter as they climbed the steps, his presence a solid weight at Robert's side. The torches along the corridor cast long shadows on the stone, making of the red keep a place of flickering light and darkness. "How bad?" Ned asked quietly, keeping his voice low enough that Cersei and the courtiers trailing behind could not hear. "Bad enough," Robert said. "Boar's tusk opened me up like a pig on the spit. Maester on the road says it missed the lung. Says I might live if I stopped drinking and whoring long enough to heal." He grimaced. "Might as well ask a fish to stop swimming." "You will stop because I tell you to," Ned replied. "Because the realm cannot afford a dead king. Not now." Robert closed his eyes for a moment, letting the motion of the litter rock him. "Varys sent word," Ned said after a beat. "He says the boy who poured your wine was urged to keep your cup full. By your queen." Robert's eyes snapped open. For a heartbeat, the pain in his side vanished beneath a surge of hot anger. "Lancel?" he demanded. "The little shit?" "He is here," Ned said. "In the yard." He looked like he had seen his own death. "Bring him to me," Robert hissed. "Now. And tell Pycelle to bring something stronger than milk of the poppy. I'll have the truth of this, if it rips the throne room apart." They stripped him in his own bedchamber like a carcass on a butcher's block. Servants bustled about, cutting away the torn leathers, peeling back mail and linen stiff with dried blood. The air smelled of iron and sweat and the sharp, bitter tang of some herb Pycelle burned in a brazier. Outside the open windows, the city hummed and throbbed, unaware that its king lay naked and wounded while strangers pressed hands to his flesh. Robert gritted his teeth as they lifted him, turned him, set him back down on clean sheets. The wound burned with every movement, a savage, tearing ache in his side. He refused to cry out. There, your grace, Pycelle wheezed, patting his arm with a liver-spotted hand. The tusk missed the lung by the width of a finger. You are fortunate indeed. With proper leeches and purgatives, we shall draw out the corrupt humors and... Touch me with a leech and I'll have you eaten by your own bloody ravens, Robert growled. Give me something that burns, not your citadel piss. Pycelle blinked, affronted, but obediently produced a stoppered vial from his sleeve. A fortified spirit, your grace, he said, infused with poppy and willow bark. It will dull the pain. Robert seized the vial and knocked it back with a practiced tilt. The liquid seared its way down his throat, bitter and thick. For a moment, the pain sharpened, then began to recede at the edges, as though he were sinking into it rather than it stabbing up at him. Better, he muttered. Now get out. All of you. I want Stark and the Lannister boy. No more. My king. Cersei began from the foot of the bed, voice all honeyed concern. Surely you. Out, Robert snapped, turning his head toward her. That includes you, wife. I've no strength for your tongue tonight. Her eyes flashed. For a heartbeat, fury burned naked in them. Then the mask slid back into place. As you command, my lord, she said, voice cool. She swept from the room, skirts whispering, a train of ladies and guards flowing after her like a cloak of red and gold. When the door closed behind them, the chamber felt suddenly larger, quieter. Only the crackle of the fire and the distant murmur of the city broke the silence. Ned stood beside the bed, arms folded, watching his friend with that same grave, considering look he had worn on the Trident's banks when the last dragon banners had come down. Bring in the boy, Robert said. The door opened again. Lancel Lannister entered as if walking to his own funeral. He had changed his clothes, but could not change his pallor. His fine doublet hung loose on his frame, green and gold catching the candlelight. He hesitated just inside the threshold, then approached the bed slowly, each step measured, as if the floor might give way beneath him. Your grace, he whispered, dropping to his knees at the foot of the bed, his hands twisted together, knuckles white. Robert stared down at him. The boy's hair gleamed like new-minted gold. His face was smooth, still soft with youth. He looked more like Cersei than like Jaime, Robert thought suddenly. The same high cheekbones, the same proud mouth. Look at me, Robert said. Lancel raised his eyes. They were green and full of terror. You poured my wine, Robert said. It was not a question. Yes, your grace, Lancel breathed. As always. Not as always, Ned said quietly from the bedside. The raven from the camp spoke of strong wine. And Varys's birds say you were told to keep the cup full. At whose command? Lancel swallowed. His throat worked. I do not know what you... Do not lie to me, boy, Robert cut in, voice low and dangerous. I've been lied to by better men than you, and I've beaten the truth out of them. You think I won't do the same to a Lannister whelp because you share a bed with my queen's cousin's maid or some such foolishness? Lancel flinched as though struck. Please, your grace, I only... Who told you to keep the wine flowing? Ned asked, each word sharp as a drawn blade. Lancel stared at him, then at Robert, and seemed to crumple in on himself. His shoulders shook. The queen, he whispered. Queen Cersei, your grace. She said you needed it, that the hunt would bore you, that only strong wine could make you smile. His voice cracked. She said you were a great man, that you could take 10 skins and still throw your spear straight. I never meant. Robert closed his eyes. The pain in his side was nothing. Suddenly, a distant throb. Another ache rose up to meet it, older and deeper, rooted somewhere between his ribs where no maester's knife could reach. Out, he said again, but the word came out thick, choked. Lancel blinked. Your grace. Out, Robert roared, forcing the sound from his chest. The effort tore at his wound. He felt wet warmth spread under the bandage. Get out of my sight before I forget your kin to my queen and have Stark here toss you from the walls." Lancel scrambled to his feet so fast he nearly fell. He backed away, bowing and stammering, then fled the chamber, the door closing with a hurried thud behind him. Silence fell. Ned stood very still. "So," Robert said at last. His voice sounded strange in his own ears, distant. "My loving wife tried to kill me with my own favorite sin. Varys's whispers and the boy's confession say so," Ned replied. "It seems the boar had help." Robert stared up at the canopy of his bed. The carved stags on the dark wood blurred. "She's not so stupid as to tell a boy the whole of it," he said slowly. "But she knew. She wanted me drunk enough that the boar would finish what she started years ago when she birthed that golden-headed brood." He laughed, a bitter, ragged sound. "7 hells, Ned. I married a woman who hates me so much she'd kill me with wine. And I paid for the privilege." Ned said nothing. Robert turned his head to look at him. "You'll say I had it coming," he muttered. "That's what you're thinking." "I am thinking," Ned sighed, "that the Queen has moved once against your life and failed. She will not stop, and her father will not forgive an attempt discovered." Robert's hand tightened around the goblet Pycelle had given him. He had not realized until that moment that he still held it. "What would you have me do?" he asked. "Put her aside? Have her head? She gave me 3 children, or so I thought. The realm has called them Baratheon since the day they were born." Ned's gaze did not waver. "They are not yours, Robert." The words dropped into the room like stones into deep water, vanishing without a splash. "Say that again," Robert said. Ned did not flinch. "They are not yours," he repeated. "Joffrey, Myrcella, Tommen. They are Jaime Lannister's." For a heartbeat, Robert heard nothing but the blood pounding in his ears. The words seemed nonsensical, like something in a foreign tongue. Then they slotted into place with a horrible, inexorable logic. His mind leapt back over the years, snatching at scraps of memory. Cersei and Jaime whispering together on a balcony. The white cloak always too near, always watching. The way the Queen's hand lingered on her brother's arm. Joffrey's face, with its fine-boned prettiness and cold, green eyes. Myrcella's smile, sweet and distant. Tommen's curls. None of them had his black hair. None of them had his nose, his eyes, his thick, stubborn jaw. "Lies," he said, but the word was weak, a protest uttered for its own sake. "Gossip and filth. You're listening to spiders." "I have read it in ink as well as heard it in whispers," Ned answered. He reached to the table beside the bed and picked up the heavy volume that lay there. The cover was cracked and worn, the pages thin with age. "The Book of Lineages," Robert muttered. "Jon Arryn's damned hobby." "A careful man's work," Ned said. He opened it, flipping through pages filled with small, neat script. Baratheon and Lannister, Tully and Arryn. Every marriage, every child, their coloring, their covenants. "Listen." He ran a finger down a column. Orys Baratheon, black of hair. Steffon Baratheon, black of hair. Robert Baratheon, black of hair. Stannis Baratheon, black of hair. Renly Baratheon, black of hair. Robert closed his eyes. "Now the children of your line with Lannister wives," Ned went on. "Each record the same. Black of hair, even when the mother is fair. Yet your 3 children with Cersei are all golden." "It proves nothing," Robert said, barely audible. "It proves a pattern," Ned replied. "And Jon Arryn died for asking why a boy with your blood and a Lannister mother should have black hair. Yet your sons do not." He closed the book with a soft thump. "He went to visit bastards you had scattered about the city. All of them bore your look, even those born of flaxen-haired mothers. He saw enough to know the truth." Robert's throat worked. "Bastards," he muttered. I too many. Maya at the Eyrie. That black-haired boy in the smithy. Gods know who else. I never counted. 7 hells." "You never cared," Ned said, "but there was no judgment in it." only a weary sadness. You left them to scraps and chance, and poured all your attention into 3 children who were never yours. The room swam for a moment. Robert realized his hands were trembling. He set the goblet down on the table with care, afraid he would drop it. "He's not mine," he said. The words tasted like ash. "Joffrey, not mine, nor the others." Ned was silent. Robert thought of the boy again, standing rigid by the litter, jaw clenched. He thought of the times he'd cuffed him for insolence, the times he'd ruffled his hair, the single awkward attempt at praise that had ended in roaring frustration. He thought of how proud Cersei had been when Joffrey took his first deer, how she had watched Jaime as the boy boasted at table. "Jaime," Robert snarled. The name came out a curse. "My own Kingsguard, sworn to protect me and mine. Sworn." His chest heaved. "I should have seen it. Gods, I was blind." "You were looking backward," Ned said softly. "At Lyanna, at Rhaegar, not at the wife and children in front of you." Robert's gaze snapped to him. "Do not speak her name," he said, voice rough. "Not now." "Then hear this instead," Ned replied. "If you die, Joffrey will take the throne. A boy with Lannister blood and a Lannister soul. Cersei will rule in his name. Tywin will rule behind them both. Is that the realm you fought for on the Trident?" Robert saw it then, as clearly as he had ever seen any battle before him. Cersei on the Iron Throne in all but name, Joffrey playing at kingship with a cruel boy's whims, Tywin's gold and steel reaching from the rock to wrap around the 7 kingdoms. Wolves and fish and roses bowed or broken. Dragons stirring across the narrow sea. All of it built on the lie that these golden-haired children were his. "No," he whispered. "No, by the 7 hells, it is not." "Then you must act," Ned said. "Name a true heir. Call your council. Strip Cersei of power before she can strike again. Or she will finish what she began in that forest, one way or another." Robert stared at him. "My true heir," he echoed. "Stannis," Ned said simply. "By all the laws of men, your brother is next in line. Hard, but just. He will hold the realm together." "Stannis," Robert repeated, tasting the name. Dutiful, humorless Stannis, with his clenched jaw and his simmering resentments. "He'll hold the realm, in a fist. He'll squeeze it until it squeals. People hate him, Ned. They will learn to fear him," Ned said. "Fear is better than chaos." Robert let his head fall back against the pillows. The poppy draft was dragging at him now, pulling him toward sleep. His thoughts felt slow, thick as mud. But beneath the fog, something sharp cut and cut again. "If I die, Joffrey sits. If I live and do nothing, the same. If I set Stannis in my place, the realm may burn, but at least it will burn under a just king." "I am not dead yet," he muttered. "I can still swing a hammer. I can still." "You cannot fight this battle with a hammer," Ned said. "This one is ink and seals and ravens." Robert snorted weakly. "Then I am lost. I was never much good with ink." "I will help you," Ned said. Robert looked at him, his oldest friend. The man he had dragged south against his will, away from snow and pine and a quiet life, into this nest of vipers. "You should have stayed in Winterfell," Robert said softly. "I should have left you there and drunk myself to death without dragging you into it." "Too late for that now," Ned answered. "Rest. Tomorrow we send ravens. To Stannis. To those we can trust. Tonight you sleep." "Sleep," Robert murmured. For once, I'll do as I'm told." His eyes drifted shut. In the darkness behind his lids, rubies scattered across a river again, and Lyanna's voice whispered from somewhere he could not reach. "Promise me, Ned," she said. "Promise me." "I broke every promise," he muttered, not knowing if he spoke aloud. "Every damned one." "Lancel is afraid," Jaime said. Cersei stood at the window, looking out over the dark sweep of the Blackwater Bay. The river caught the moon's pale light in broken shards. Ships lay at anchor like slumbering beasts, their masts a forest of black lines against the sky. "He is a boy," she replied. Boys frighten easily. Varys has been whispering. Jaime went on, ignoring the dismissal. To the hand, to others, about wine and boars and golden-haired squires. His jaw clenched. Robert sent for the boy himself. In his bedchamber. Cersei's fingers tightened on the stone sill until her knuckles whitened. The cool night air did nothing to ease the sudden heat in her chest. "And?" she asked. "Is our good king dead, then? Did he choke on his own fury?" "Not yet." Jaime's mouth twisted. "They say the tusk missed his heart, his lung. He will live, or so Pycelle crows." Damn him, she thought. Damn the boar for missing. Damn the gods for sparing him. Damn that ponderous, drunken oaf for being too stubborn to die when it would be convenient. "Then we must assume he knows," she said softly. "About the wine, at least." Jaime pushed himself away from the wall, the white of his cloak catching the candlelight. "And about other things," he said. "The hand has been sniffing after my footsteps since he came to the sty of a city. Jon Arryn died for asking questions. Eddard Stark is not so easy to swat aside. If Stark knew, he would have come blustering into my chambers with that northern righteousness of his," Cersei said. "Sword at my throat, children in chains. He has done nothing." "Not yet," Jaime said. "But he went straight to Robert when the king returned. And Lancel was sent for. I saw the boy afterward. He looked as if he'd seen the stranger himself." "Lancel is weak," Cersei said. "He was useful so long as he obeyed. If he has turned craven." She let the thought trail off. Jaime's eyes narrowed. "What would you have me do? Slip into the boy's bed with a knife? He is a Lannister. Father would. Father would understand the necessity," Cersei hissed, turning on him. "Do you think he will weep over Lancel if Robert hangs us both from the city walls? If he casts Joffrey and Myrcella and Tommen aside as bastards?" The word hung between them like smoke. Jaime's face went very still. He looked, in that moment, less like the Golden Knight who graced tourneys and ballads, and more like a man who had once stabbed a king in the back. "You think he will?" he asked quietly. "Cast them aside? He is wounded, not witless," Cersei snapped. "He will clutch at his pride more fiercely than ever if he smells humiliation. Stark will put the book of lineages in his hands. They will count hair colors together like septas with a basket of kittens." Her lip curled. "They will decide my children are not his and toss them away like spoiled meat." Jaime said nothing. He did not have to. She could see the fear in his eyes as clearly as she felt it in her own chest. "They are mine," she whispered. "Mine, Jaime. Carried them. I bled for them. I will not let that drunken brute or that solemn northern fool steal them away from me." "What do you mean to do?" Jaime asked. "What I must," Cersei answered. "What I have always done. Protect what is mine." She turned back to the window, staring out at the black water. The city lay before her, sprawling and filthy and ripe. "Robert is not yet dead," she said. "But he is wounded, weak. If he moves against me, against the children, he invites war. Tywin will not sit idle in the Westerlands while his grandchildren are disinherited. The lions will rise. The stag will find its own antlers in its belly. The hand will stand with Robert," Jaime said. "Let him," Cersei replied. "If Stark chooses the stag over the lion, he can freeze in the snow with the rest of his pack when this city burns." Jaime's jaw tightened. "You are speaking of treason." "I am speaking of survival," she said. "Send word to father. Tell him everything. The boar, the wine, the hand's suspicions, Robert's wound. He will see what must be done." Jaime hesitated. "If father comes to war, the streets will run red," he said. "I was there when the last mad king pushed this city to the brink. I remember the screams. This time," Cersei said, "it will not be madness but necessity." The quill scratched across the parchment, leaving a thin trail of black. "To my brother Stannis, Lord of Dragonstone," Ned wrote in his careful, angular hand. "Come to King's Landing with all haste. The king is wounded but lives. The matter we spoke of before has grown more dire. Your presence is required for the safety of the realm and the honor of House Baratheon." He paused, tapping the feathered end of the quill against the table. How much to say? How much to trust to ink and raven wings that might be shot from the sky or intercepted by unfriendly hands? He thought of Stannis' face, the hard mouth, the suspicious eyes, a man who saw betrayal in every shadow, yet held himself to a standard of iron. He would not thank Ned for half-truths. "The Queen has moved once against Robert's life," Ned wrote. "She will not stop. There are other matters of blood and parentage that must be spoken of in person. Bring with you men whom you trust and no others." He sanded the letter, folded it, and pressed his own seal into the warm wax. The dire wolf of Stark glared up at him when he lifted his hand. Another parchment waited beside it, blank and accusing. This one bore no name yet. He stared at it for a long moment. Renly will not like what is coming, he thought. He is young, and he dreams of crowns. But he must know. All of them must know, if the realm is not to be swept away in a tide of rumor and sudden swords. "My Lord Hand." Varys's voice came softly from the doorway. Ned looked up. The eunuch stood just inside, hands folded, eyes lowered. "You move quickly," Varys said. "The ravens will be grateful. They so dislike being made to wait." "Stannis must be told," Ned replied. "He is Robert's heir, whatever dragons or lions may say." "A hard man," Varys murmured. "Hard men do not always bend at the right time. They do not break easily either," Ned said. "I would rather a hard man with a sense of duty than a soft one with a hunger for power." "You speak of Lord Renly," Varys suggested delicately. "I speak of whoever would set themselves before Robert's rightful heir," Ned said. "There will be those who say Stannis is unloved, that the realm needs a king who can charm and smile his way through feasts." "The realm is full of men who confuse feasts with peace," Varys said with a faint smile. "You will forgive me, my lord, if I confess that I prefer my kings dull and lawful to charming and bloody." Ned rolled up the first letter and reached for the next parchment. His hand hesitated over the blank surface, then began to move. To Lord Renly Baratheon, Master of Laws, he wrote, the words feeling heavier than they should. "Your brother, the king, has been wounded by a boar but lives. Dark currents swirl in the capital. Your presence is needed. Come with all speed and caution." He stopped there. The rest would have to be said face to face, if at all. "Will this be enough?" he asked without looking up. "Ravens to Dragonstone and Highgarden. Words on parchment to counter treason in flesh. Words can be sharper than swords when placed in the right hands," Varys said. "But they will not stop a Lannister host if Lord Tywin chooses to march. For that, we will need more than ink." Ned sealed the second letter and set it beside the first. "I have Northmen," he said, "and men of the Vale loyal to my wife's kin. If Robert commands, they will come." Varys's eyes flickered. "Will Robert command it?" Ned thought of the man in the bedchamber, torn open by a boar's tusk and by truths spoken at last. A man who had laughed at death on battlefields, yet flinched from ink and seals. "He will," Ned said, "or I will make him." "You care for him," Varys observed. "For the man, not the crown." "I do," Ned said simply. "He was once my brother in all but blood." "Once?" Varys echoed. Ned met his gaze. "I will not let him be murdered in his bed," he said. "Not by his queen, not by her father, not by their pet knights. I failed one promise long ago. I will not fail another." Varys bowed his head. "As you say, my Lord Hand, I will see that your ravens fly swiftly, and I will listen. If the lions bare their teeth, my little birds will know before they bite." The night stretched long and thin. Servants came and went like ghosts, stoking the fire, changing bandages, bringing water he barely tasted. Pycelle shuffled in twice more to peer at the wound, mumbling about humors and suppurations. Each time Robert sent him away as soon as decency allowed. Cersei did not return. Good, he thought, though the word rang hollow in his head. Let her keep to her own chambers, with her lion cubs and her secrets. Pain kept him awake until the small hours, a constant, throbbing reminder of how close the boar's tusk had come. When at last the poppy and the wine dragged him under, his sleep was shallow and full of ghosts. He dreamed of the trident. The sky was iron gray, the river churning red around his knees. Rhaegar rode toward him in armor black as coal studded with rubies that glowed like fresh wounds. Robert raised his hammer, but when he swung it was heavy as stone, barely moving. The prince smiled, and with a single, casual blow knocked him from his horse. He hit the water and sank. Below the surface there was no battle, only silence. Rubies drifted around him like drowned stars. Lyanna floated nearby, her hair a dark cloud. Her eyes were open, her lips pale. "Promise me," she said, the words bubbling from her mouth in a stream of blood. He opened his mouth to answer, and his lungs filled with red. He woke with a start, gasping, heart pounding. For a moment he did not know where he was. The canopy above his bed loomed like a forest of carved antlers, the shadows thrown by the embers twisting them into strange shapes. His side ached, but the sharp edge of the pain had dulled to a deep, constant throb. Sweat chilled his skin. He gulped air, trying to slow his racing heart. "Lyanna," he whispered into the dark. I meant to do right by you." The only answer was the crackle of the dying fire. He lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of his years pressing down on him. 40 and more, with a body gone soft and a realm gone sour. Once he had been all muscle and rage, a storm in human flesh. Now he was a man cut open by a pig, lying in his own bed like an invalid while others plotted around him. "My children are not mine," he thought. The thought came again and again, like the tolling of some distant bell. "My line ends with me. All my whoreson bastards in the world, and not one trueborn son of my blood." Faces flickered through his mind. Maya Stone, perched on a cliff path in the Vale, laughing into the wind. The dark-haired boy at the forge by the Street of Steel, sweat shining on his bare arms as he hammered hot metal. He did not even know the boy's name, only the shape of his jaw, the set of his shoulders. His own reflected back at him. I could have brought one to court, he thought, given him a name, made a true son of him instead of pouring all my hopes and temper into a golden-headed fraud. He pictured Joffrey again, remembered the boy shoving a butcher's lad into the dirt by the Trident's banks, remembered the stubborn, cold disdain when Robert had demanded he make amends. Not mine, he told himself, not my blood. Something in him recoiled from the thought, but another part seized on it like a lifeline. Not mine. I did not make that, yet he had allowed it. He had signed the papers, nodded at the sept, worn the father's cloak. He had given his name, his house, his throne. The failure was his, whatever blood flowed in the boy's veins. He turned his head, staring at the faint strip of moonlight on the floor. Somewhere beyond these walls, the city sprawled, full of men and women who did not know their king lay awake and eaten by doubts. Beyond that, fields and forests and mountains, the long sweep of the realm he had won in fire and iron. I fought to put an end to the Targaryen madness, he thought, to spare the realm from dragon fire and the whims of mad kings. And I gave them a drunkard for their reward. The thought might have made him laugh once. Now it only left him tired. He remembered Ned's face by the bed, the book of Lineages in his hand. He remembered the certainty in his voice when he said Stannis' name. Stannis would not flinch from this. Stannis would tear the lie out by the root, whatever blood it cost. He would strip Cersei, cast out the children, face Tywin with grim, joyless resolve. They will hate him, Robert thought. The small folk, the lords, every man who loves a feast more than hard bread. But they will know where they stand. He will not smile at them as he slips the knife in. Dawn's first pale light was beginning to touch the sky when he finally closed his eyes again. Sleep came slowly, heavy and uneven. When it took him, it was without dreams. The light in the chamber was gray and thin when Ned entered. Robert was awake. He sat half-propped against the pillows, the lines around his eyes deeper than Ned had ever seen them. His beard looked wilder, more shot with gray. His hand rested near the goblet on the table, but it was empty. "You look like death," Ned said by way of greeting. Robert's mouth twitched. "You should see the other fellow," he rasped. "They ate him already." Ned came to the bedside, studying his face. "How do you feel?" "As if a boar tried to gut me," Robert replied. "And as if someone told me my life these last 15 years was built on sand." He gestured with his chin toward the table. "I had them bring ink." Ned followed his gaze. A roll of parchment lay there beside a stick of red wax and the royal seal. The sight of them made his throat tighten. He had seen too many such documents in his life not to know what weight they carried. "You were right," Robert said. "About the children. About Cersei." His jaw clenched. "About me. This is not about being right," Ned said quietly. "It is about saving the realm from tearing itself apart." Robert snorted. "The realm," he said. "Always the realm. That was what Jon Arryn used to say. For the good of the realm, Robert. I was too young to understand, too drunk to care. Now I lie here with pig's teeth in my side, and suddenly I see it clear as day." He looked at Ned, and for a moment Ned saw not the bloated king, but the man he had followed into battle. Fierce, unbowed, eyes bright with something like joy. "I will not have that boy on my throne," Robert said. "Not Joffrey, not his siblings, not any of Cersei's brood. I may be a poor excuse for a king, but I am not such a fool as to leave the realm to Tywin in a golden wig." "Then name Stannis," Ned said. "Put it in ink. Put your seal to it. Call the council. We will face what comes." Robert's gaze dropped to the parchment. His fingers flexed, then closed. "Stannis," he muttered. "I." He hesitated. "And what of the North? Of you, Ned? When Stannis sits, he will expect you to stand at his side, to bend the knee, to fight his wars, to hold his line hard as he does." "I swore my fealty to you and yours," Ned said. "The Baratheon line. If you set Stannis there by law, I will serve him as I have served you, so long as he keeps faith with the realm." Robert nodded slowly. "You always were the stubborn one," he said. "I thought dragging you south would remind me who I used to be. All it's done is show me how far I've fallen." He reached for the parchment. His hand shook a little as he unrolled it. "Help me," he said gruffly. "My hand's not so steady with ink as it is with a hammer." Ned took up the quill and dipped it. "At your word," he said. Robert breathed out. "Write this," he said. "I, Robert Baratheon, first of my name, King of the Undulls, the Royner, and the First Men, do hereby declare." The words spilled into the morning, black on white. The echo of a boar's roar and a dragon's death and a girl's whispered plea all bound up in them. Outside, the city went on with its waking. Bells tolling, traders shouting, children laughing in narrow alleys. The sea crashed endlessly against the cliffs. Within the chamber, a wounded king set his hand, at last, to the shaping of fate. They did not sit him the Iron Throne. Robert would have dragged himself up its jagged steps out of sheer bloody-mindedness if they had let him. But the maesters and Ned had more sense. Instead, they placed a carved oaken chair before the throne's shadow, draped it in white fur, and propped the king there like some wounded bear dragged in from the forest. "The damn thing makes me look like an old crone at her spinning," Robert muttered. "I should be on my feet." "If you open that wound again, you'll be on your pyre," Ned said under his breath. "Endure the chair. There are worse shames than ruling from a seat." The great hall was colder than he remembered. Sound crawled up into the vaults and came back thin. The small council stood below, Varys in soft lavender silk, Baelish in gray and green, Pycelle swaying under the weight of his chain, Renly leaning against the council table with an easy grace that wasn't reflected in his eyes. "You know why you're here," Robert said. Even forcing his voice cost him. "No talk of coin or leeches today. We speak of one thing." Ned unrolled the parchment in his hands. The wax on it was bright Baratheon red. "This is my word." Robert's fingers twitched toward it. "Read it, Ned." Ned's voice carried, cool and even. "I, Robert of the House Baratheon, first of my name, King of the Undulls, the Royner, and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and Protector of the Realm, do hereby name and declare my brother Stannis of the House Baratheon, Lord of Dragonstone, to be my lawful heir, to follow me upon the Iron Throne at my death, or if I am rendered unfit to rule by mortal infirmity." The words sank into the stone. Pycelle made a small choking sound. Varys's lashes fluttered once. Baelish's brows climbed and smoothed again. Only Renly moved, pushing himself upright from the table. "There is no mention of Joffrey," he said, "nor of Tommen or Myrcella." Robert's jaw clenched. "There is no need. They are not mine." "Brother," Renly said, dropping all pretense of lightness, "think what you are saying." "I have thought," Robert snapped. "More than I like. They're Jaime's whelps. I'll not leave my throne to a Lannister bastard in a golden wig." Pycelle stammered, "Your Grace, surely these tales—" "Silence," Robert growled. "I've seen the bloody book. I've seen my bastards. Stark laid the truth in front of me, and I know my own blood when I look at it." He jabbed a finger toward the parchment. "Stannis is heir. By law, by right, by my will." Renly's eyes had gone hard. "You will split the realm in two," he said. "Disinherit 3 children the whole world believes to be yours. Accuse the queen of adultery and treason. Raise Stannis above me. All in one breath. Do you want war?" Robert laughed, a short, ugly bark. "War made me king. Peace has near killed me. If it takes a war to cut out this rot, I'll pay the price." "It may not be you who pays it," Renly said softly. Varys glided a step forward, hands folded. "Your Grace," he said, "forgive a humble servant, but parchment can be a sharp blade or a hidden dagger, depending how it is used. If this decree were held in reserve for a time, known only to those present, we might gain the advantage of law without inviting the Queen to fly at our throats today." Baelish smiled his small, mocking smile. "A paper is only as strong as the hands that hold it," he murmured. "Read it in the sept and you'll have lions tearing at the doors before dusk. Tuck it away, and it becomes a very useful lever." Ned's gray glance shut him up. "We will not hide behind lies," he said. "The decree stands. It bears the king's seal. But there is sense in keeping our counsel until Lord Stannis can come to King's Landing. When he stands here in person, the queen will think twice before she reaches for her claws." "And if she reaches anyway?" Renly asked. "Then we meet her with the law in hand," Ned said. "And with steel if we must." Robert reached for the seal himself this time. The wax was already set. He pressed the crowned stag down until it bit deep. For a heartbeat he fancied he could hear distant thunder. "It's done," he said. "Whatever comes now, no one will say I left this realm to a lie." Varys bowed. "As his grace commands." Baelish's eyes lingered on Ned. "We should find a very safe place for that parchment," he said lightly. "Somewhere cool and dry and well guarded. Paper burns so easily." "I'll keep it," Ned said. "You may tell your little birds the law of the realm is in the hands keeping." Baelish only smiled wider at that. Renly said nothing at all. He stood very still, staring up at his wounded brother, and Ned could almost see the crown turning behind his eyes like a coin on its edge, not yet fallen to either side. Cersei came to him in the heat of midday, when the bandages itched and his temper burned with the fever. The guards at the door announced her, but she swept past them as if they weren't there, skirts whispering, green velvet catching the light. She filled the doorway with color and anger. "Leave us," she said. "No," Robert answered. The single word stopped her more surely than a spear point. She turned her head slowly, narrowed green eyes fixing on Ned where he stood beside the bed. "The hand," she said. "Of course, there is always a Stark near when poison is poured." "Poison," Robert said. "A good word. We'll get to that." Cersei came closer, each step measured. "Is it true?" she asked. "Have you written something?" She flicked a glance at the table where the roll of parchment lay. Is the king so eager for his own funeral? Robert managed a grin, though it felt more like a baring of teeth. You're in fine voice today, wife. I suppose I should be flattered you didn't wait for me to die before shrieking. Her hands clenched in the folds of her gown. Speak plain for once, she said. What have you done? What I should have done long ago, Robert said. Named Stannis my heir. Stripped your bastard of the crown you stuffed on his head in his cradle. For a heartbeat her face emptied, all color draining away. Then the blood rushed back in a flush so fierce it climbed her neck. You dare, she whispered. I dare, Robert growled. I've put my seal to it. The hand, the council, they all heard. When I die, Stannis sits. Not your whelp. Not any of them. Ned watched her carefully. Rage he understood. Fear he expected. What he saw for a heartbeat was something closer to despair. A mother seeing a noose slip around the necks of her children. You would call them bastards before the realm? She demanded. You would strip them of everything? Their name, their birth, their future. They were born in sin, Ned said, the words cutting his tongue even as he spoke them. You and Ser Jaime did that, not Robert. She rounded on him. You, she hissed. You northern fool. You and that old man before you, always poking at things best left in the dark. Jon Arryn died for it. I told you in the Godswood what would happen if you pulled this tower down on our heads. Did you think I was jesting? Robert slammed his fist weakly against the mattress. Enough. You'll not threaten him in my bedchamber. The truth is the truth. You spread your legs for my Kingsguard and made a mockery of my house. You made a mockery of it yourself, she shot back. A dozen bastards, and you never spared a thought for any of them. You think I did this out of malice? I wanted children of my own blood, not yours, not some drunken usurpers. The word hung between them, usurper, and Ned saw Robert flinch as if she had struck him. Whatever name you put to it, Ned said. The law is clear. The king's brother stands before a queen's son in the line of succession. When Robert dies, the throne passes to Stannis. That is the simple heart of it. Cersei's laugh was dry and terrible. Simple, he says. You speak of laws and parchments as if they were swords. Do you truly believe a scrap of ink will keep my father's armies from these walls? That Lord Tywin will sit back at the rock while his grandchildren are declared abominations. If he marches, Ned said, he marches against the king's word. Even the lords of the West will balk at that. You know nothing of the West, she said. They will march wherever his gold tells them. And you, she jabbed a finger at Robert. You think you are strong enough to face Lion and Storm and North all at once? You can barely stand to piss. Robert's breath rasped. He could feel his strength leaking out with every word, but something inside him refused to yield. If your father comes, he said, he'll find more than wolves waiting. Stannis will be here. The Stormlands, the Crownlands, the North, the Vale. Will make him choke on his own pride. Cersei stared at him for a long, still moment. Then she smiled, slowly. You think you still have time, she said, to summon Stannis, to gather your banners, to set your pieces on the board. You forget there are other players. Her eyes went bright and hard. My children are not pieces, Robert. They are my life. I will burn this city to the ground before I see them dragged before a septon and called false. If you love them, Ned said, keep them from the throne. Let them live quiet. Let this pass. She looked at him as if he had suggested she pluck out her own heart. They were born to rule, she said. I will not have them live like cast-off bastards in some northern hall. Then you make this war, Ned replied. Not us. She turned back to Robert. This is your doing, she said. You could have died clean. A hunting accident. A tragic loss. The realm mourning its fallen king. But you had to live just long enough to break everything. Robert closed his eyes. Get out, he said. Before I forget I ever cared whether you live or die. For a moment he thought she might defy him. Then she spun on her heel and swept toward the door, skirts whispering fury. At the threshold, she glanced back over her shoulder. "When the streets run red," she said, "remember that it was honor that opened their veins." Then she was gone. The room felt colder for her absence. Robert sagged back into the pillows, breathing hard. "7 hells," he muttered. "I almost missed the boar." They watched the Lannister guards drill from a high stone window where the wind could not quite reach. Below, in the yard, red cloaks moved in neat lines, spears flashing as they wheeled and stabbed in unison. The clang of practiced steel echoed off the walls. "More lions every day," Peter Baelish observed. "They breed like rabbits, but march like ants." Varys stood beside him, plump hands folded in his sleeves. "A pity the ants think they belong to different queens," he murmured. "Some to Cersei, some to the crown, some to coin. And some," Baelish said, smiling thinly, "to whoever remembers which of their bastards needs food and which of their wives needs a leak fixed in the roof." "You have been busy," Varys said. It was not a question. "I keep a ledger," Baelish replied. "Names, debts, favors. Janos Slynt's captains, for instance. Fine, upstanding men, very attached to their purses. And now attached to yours," Varys said. "And to the queen's. You do enjoy tying knots." Baelish's eyes gleamed. "The hand came to the watch with gold," he said. "The queen came with threats and more gold. They think they buy the same thing. What they are actually buying is my amusement." "Amusement is a dangerous luxury in times like these," Varys said. "One trip, and all your careful knots become a hangman's noose." "That's the game," Baelish answered lightly. "You of all people should appreciate the fun of a well-balanced blade." Varys watched a file of gold cloaks march past the lions, the 2 columns carefully not mingling. "The king has written," he said quietly. "Stannis as heir, Lord Stark as regent until he comes. That is a blade with 2 edges. Or 3, Baelish said. "You forget Renly." "I do not forget him," Varys said. "He has already slipped away, has he not? A small party out the postern gate in the night. I doubt they ride for Storm's End alone." "Highgarden," Baelish said. "Roses love a young handsome king." Varys's mouth tightened. "There is no shortage of men willing to call themselves kings, it seems. Not when the throne sits under a man with 1 foot in the grave and no true sons," Baelish said. "Stannis with his iron law, Renly with his smiles, Joffrey with his temper. 3 crowns already glimmering in 3 minds. We have not yet spoken of the one across the narrow sea." Varys's eyes flickered. "Some songs are not ready to be sung," he said. "Let us not bring dragons into a hall already full of lions and stags." "As you like," Baelish said. "I'm content to watch the beasts we have. Tell me, Spider, when steel is drawn, where will you scuttle?" "To wherever I can do the least harm and the most good," Varys said mildly. Baelish laughed. "Always so pious. I at least admit I play for myself." "Do you?" Varys asked. "The trouble with men who think they play only for themselves is that they are easily moved by those who know which piece they truly are." Baelish's smile did not reach his eyes. "You wound me, Lord Varys." "Not yet," Varys said. "I fear the realm will bleed before either of us does." Below, a gold cloak stumbled, dropping his spear. A Lannister sergeant cuffed him hard across the head. The man picked up his weapon and fell back into line, eyes dull. "Look there," Varys said softly. "That is the realm. Men beaten into marching in other men's colors. It is they who will die when our high lords call their banners. Then let's be certain their deaths are entertaining," Baelish said, and turned away from the window with a flourish of his feather-trimmed cloak. The garden smelled of lemon and earth and the faint salt of the distant sea. Renly walked its length twice, under trellised vines and between marble planters, before he trusted himself to stop. The pavilion at the cliff's edge overlooked all of King's Landing. Below, the city sprawled like a half-crushed anthill. Loras Tyrell waited beneath the green and gold canopy, helm off, dark hair ruffled by the breeze. His polished breastplate caught the dying sun. "Well?" Loras asked, Has your brother crowned you with ink? Renly snorted. Stannis, he said. Stannis with his sour face and his ledgers. The ink on Robert's will is barely dry, and already he looms over us like a winter storm. He opened his hand. The small gold circlet gleamed in his palm. Simple, undecorated. A toy beside the great monstrosity that sat above the Iron Throne, yet heavier than iron in that moment. You had that made before the hunt, Loras said. It was not a question. Renly smiled crookedly. I like pretty things, he said. Sometimes I like them before they officially belong to me. He closed his fingers around the metal. Robert has set his seal. Stannis is heir. Stark will bleed for him. Cersei will burn for her cubs. And where does that leave me? With me, Loras said quietly. And with the reach if you ask for it. My brother thinks the law an unbreakable sword, Renly said. Stannis thinks it a cudgel. But kingship is a tapestry, not a blade. You need more than a claim. You need songs, smiles, feasts. The realm will choke on Stannis. And on Joffrey, Loras said. The boy is rotten to the core. Renly's jaw tightened. Joffrey is a Lannister game piece. Stannis is a Baratheon hammer. I am something else. He laughed shortly. Listen to me. I sound like a fool in one of Sansa Stark's romances. You sound like a man who sees clearly, Loras said. He stepped closer. Leave this city. Tonight. Take your household guard, your Stormland knights. Come to Highgarden. My father may be slow to grasp much, but he understands banners and marriage. You, with Marjorie as your queen, the rose and the stag entwined. That is a picture even Mace Tyrell can see. Renly looked out over the city. Lights were beginning to prick into existence as dusk settled, little islands of yellow in the gray. If I ride tonight, he said, Stark will call it desertion. Robert will call it treason. Robert is dying, Loras said bluntly. Whether of boar or wine or his own foolishness, it matters not. When he goes, the game begins in earnest. Will you be a player or a piece? Renly's fingers tightened around the circlet until the metal bit into his skin. I won't draw a sword against him while he still breathes, he said. I won't be that brother. But I'll not stand docile and wait for Stannis to shut me up in some tower, either. He let out a breath. We ride tonight, quietly, no banners, no trumpets. Once we're beyond the Kingswood, we can think about crowns. Loras's smile lit his face. I will have the horses ready, he said. Renly slipped the little circlet over his wrist like a bracelet, hidden by his sleeve. Tell Mace, he said, that the garden he so loves is about to grow himself a king. Arya had meant only to escape Septa Mordain. The Septa's voice had a way of turning every story to porridge, thick, tasteless, and impossible to swallow. Arya slipped out between one droning account of King Daeron's conquests and the next, Nymeria's quiet pause following her down the corridor until the passages grew too tight for a wolf. She liked the forgotten ways of the Red Keep. Down here the stones felt older. The air smelled of dust and secrets. Her feet knew some of the turns now from other wanderings. Left at the cracked pillar, right where the wall sweated salt, down the stair that twisted like a drilled hole into the castle's bones. Voices stopped her. She froze, one hand flat to the damp wall. The sound came from ahead through a thin crack where a sliver of torchlight bled into the passage. Carefully, quietly, she crouched and pressed her eye to it. Two men stood in a long, low room hung with cobwebs. One she recognized at once. Varys, shorn and powdered, a gray robe soft as spider silk. The other was huge and richly dressed, his yellow silk straining over a great belly, rings winking on sausage-thick fingers. Too soon, the fat man was saying in a liquid, foreign voice. If you push them now, my friend, the lion and the stag may tear each other to pieces before the dragon is ready. The dragon is never ready, Varys replied. That is the trouble with dragons. They wake when they please. In the meantime, we must shepherd the beasts we have. Arya's heart thudded. Dragons. She thought of the skulls that had once hung in the throne room, of old Nan's stories. The king lives, The fat man, Illyrio, she remembered suddenly that was his name, said, "A boar and some wine are not enough to bring him to heel. His hand has teeth as well, this Stark." "Teeth, yes," Varys said softly, "but also a conscience. Conscience can be guided. And if it cannot, then others will guide events in his stead. The Lannisters have moved once against the king and failed. They will not sit quietly while he casts their cubs aside. When Robert dies, the realm will have more kings than it did dragons." "Good," Illyrio said. "Confusion is good. It makes men look for a single, strong savior." Varys's head turned slightly. "You speak of your Silver Queen again." "I speak of the rightful line," Illyrio said. "The girl grows. The call has taken a liking to her. There are whispers she carries his child. When the time is right." "The time is not yet right," Varys said sharply. "If the Targaryen returns to find only ashes and Lannister banners, she will ride into a grave. Better a realm torn but standing than a wasteland ruled by no one." Arya's stomach flipped. This was no childish gossip. They were speaking of kings and dragons and war like men moving pieces on a board. "And the wolf?" Illyrio asked. "This Stark, he was not in your first songs." "Wolves complicate every hunt," Varys said. "Lord Eddard is dangerous because he believes in things. If he stands between lion and stag when they charge, he may be trampled. Convenient, perhaps, or tragic. The gods will decide. Or men will," Illyrio said. "If he threatens your plans." "I have no plans," Varys said. "Only preparations. If Stark dies, the North will remember. That, too, must be weighed." Arya had heard enough. Her pulse hammered in her ears. She drew back from the crack and hunted her way up through the darkness, back toward light and air, legs shaky. Spies talking of killing her father, of dragons across the sea, of Joffrey not being the only king men looked to. She burst into her father's solar without knocking. Ned looked up from his papers, surprise sharpening into wariness at the sight of her face. "Arya? What is it?" She shut the door behind her and leaned back against it, panting. "I heard Varys," she said. "And another man, fat one. They were talking about you, about Robert, about dragons." His eyes went very still. "Tell me," he said, "from the beginning, and do not leave anything out." On Dragonstone the wind smelled of salt and old fire. Stannis Baratheon stood on the battlements, black cloak snapping around his legs. Ned Stark's letter crumpled in his fist. The sky was a flat, leaden gray. The sea below smashed itself to foam against knife-edged rocks. "They're not his," Stannis said. Davos Seaworth stood a pace behind him, hands tucked into his sleeves for warmth. "If Lord Stark says so, my lord, he is not a man for lies." "I knew it," Stannis said. His jaw worked as if he were grinding the words into dust. "I saw it years ago. Jaime's eyes in the boy's face, Lannister gold on their heads. But no one wanted to hear it from me. Too grim, they said. Too dutiful." Robert drank and whored and laughed it all away. He opened the letter again and read the lines for what felt like the 100th time. "The Queen has moved once against His Grace's life. She will not stop. The matter of the children's parentage is as we feared. His Grace has named you heir in ink and seal. Duty, that old, familiar weight settled more firmly on his shoulders." "Dragonstone is a rock," Stannis said. "A noble rock, yes, with dragons carved on every pisspot, but still a rock. Storm's End should have been mine. Robert gave it to Renly instead. And now he summons me at last, when he needs a back stiffened and a law spoken aloud." Davos shifted. "Will you go?" Stannis's head snapped toward him. "Of course I will go," he said. "I am his brother, his heir by his own word and by every law that matters. I will not sit sulking on this island while Lannisters crouch on my throne and my younger brother runs south to charm banners from fools." "The Lannisters won't welcome you with open arms," Davos said mildly. "I do not ask for their welcome," Stannis replied. "Only their obedience. They swore oaths once." His mouth twisted. And if they choose to remember Casterly Rock more fondly than they remember the crown, I will remind them what treason costs. Bootsteps approached along the wall. Melisandre came as if the wind did not touch her. Red silk whispering, copper hair loose around her shoulders, eyes alight with some inner flame. "The flames showed me this day," she said. "A stag wounded but standing, shadows of lions circling, another stag in the distance, antlers sharp as spears. If you do not answer this summons, Lord, the wrong stag will wear the crown." "I put no stock in your flames," Stannis said, though he did not throw the letter away. "I have ink enough to tell me what is true." "And yet you called me here," Melisandre said, smiling. "You know the old gods are sleeping and the seven are blind. There is only the Lord of Light, and he has chosen you for his work." "My brother has chosen me because he is finally frightened enough to see the wall collapsing," Stannis said. "That is reason enough. I need no fire magic to tell me the realm will fall to ruin if Joffrey sits that throne." Davos cleared his throat. "You will need ships," he said. "Men, supplies. Dragonstone is not what it was when the Targaryens ruled. You cannot sail into the Blackwater with 10 galleys and expect the city to roll over." "We will take what we can," Stannis said. "I will not wait for every Fairweather bannerman in the Stormlands to decide whether they prefer my justice to Renly's smiles. Those who love the law will come later. For now, I will go with men who obey orders." "And if the king dies before you reach him?" Davos asked quietly. Stannis looked back out to sea. Storms were building on the horizon. "Then I will take what is mine," he said. "I have been passed over once. I will not be passed over again." They rode out by moonlight, not sunlight. The postern gate swallowed them one by one. Horses' hooves muffled, cloaks drawn up, helms hooded. No banners snapped. No heralds cried their names. Renly felt every stone as his gelding's shoes struck it. With each step beyond the walls, the knot in his chest loosened a fraction. Loras rode at his side, helm hanging from his saddle. Behind them came a tale of Stormland knights and Reach men-at-arms, enough to be a seed of something larger, not enough to be a host. "You still have time to turn back," Loras said, though his tone made it clear he did not expect it. "And go where?" Renly asked. "Back to the council chamber to watch Stannis' name written over my brother's crown? Back to the Queen's false smiles and Stark's disapproving frowns? No, if the game is to be played, I'd rather choose my own square." "The king will call you traitor," Loras said. "Stark too." "Robert has called me worse after fewer cups of wine," Renly said. "If he lives, I will make my peace with him later. If he dies—" He let the words trail off. The horse breathed warm and solid between his knees. "If he dies, then everyone will be a traitor in someone's song." The Kingswood closed around them, black branches knitting overhead, torches through wavering pools of light, making the trees seem to lean and listen. "Once we are through the wood, we ride hard for Bitterbridge," Loras said. "From there to Highgarden. My father will pretend to dither and demand assurances for form's sake, but he has been longing to plant a rose in the crown for years. You are a better bet than Joffrey or Stannis." "I am a bet at all," Renly said dryly. "That may be enough." He flexed his fingers on the reins. The little gold circlet he had hidden under his sleeve bit into his wrist. "Stark would say I'm mad. Stark would rather follow a dead king's will than a living realm's needs," Loras said. "He is not wrong, but he is not right either. Kings made entirely of honor tend to die young." "And kings made of charm?" Renly asked, amused despite himself. "Die old and fat and happy, if the gods are kind," Loras said. "Or on a battlefield with songs sung about them for 100 years. Either seems better than standing quietly to one side while other men ruin the world." Renly looked back only once. From the rise of the road, he could just see the red keep as a darker lump against the night sky, a handful of torch pricks marking its walls. "Goodbye, brother," he murmured. "Try not to die before I've had my turn at the pieces." The headquarters of the City Watch squatted near the mud gate like a toad, square and ugly, smelling of old cabbage and sweat. Ned disliked it on sight. He liked Janos Slynt even less. The commander of the watch had a thick neck and thicker jowls. His black mustache gleamed with grease, his little eyes always moving. He bowed low enough to be respectful, not so low as to seem servile. "An honor, Lord Hand," he said. "What can the gold cloaks do for you?" "Stand where the king tells them," Ned said, "and nowhere else." Peter Baelish lounged beside an open iron-banded chest. Lantern light glimmered on the coins inside. Slynt's gaze kept flicking toward it and then away, as if he feared staring too boldly would make it vanish. "You command 5,000 men," Ned went on. "When trouble comes, and it will, you and your officers will decide whether this city burns or stands." Slynt shifted his weight. "We keep the peace," he said cautiously. "That's our charge." "Peace," Baelish said, "is a dear commodity. Dear things need insurance." He nudged the chest with his boot. The gold inside chimed softly. "The hand of the king does not ask men to risk their lives without seeing their wives and children provided for." Slynt licked his lips. "That's generous, Lord." "It's practical," Ned said. "When I call for the watch, I want men who don't stop to think whether the queen will pay them more for pointing their spears the other way." "And if the queen calls first?" Slynt asked, eyes a little too bright. "She's the queen. Her father's a mighty lord. Hard to say no, like. If the queen sets herself against the king's law, she is a traitor," Ned said, voice flat. "You swore an oath to the crown, not to Cersei Lannister." Baelish smiled lazily. "But oaths don't fill bellies, Lord Stark. This does." He flipped a coin, caught it. 500 men, handpicked. "When Lord Stark sends word, they come armed and ready, with no questions and no sudden crises of conscience. In return, we see to it that their loyalty is rewarded." Slynt looked from Ned's hard face to the honest glow of the gold. He scratched at his jaw. "And if both the queen and the hand call at once?" he asked. "Whose word do my lads heed?" "The king's," Ned said, "which will come through me." Baelish's glance was sharp for a moment, then amused again. "And if the king is indisposed," he said, "the paper with his seal on it will have to suffice." "That paper exists," Ned said. "You do not need to see it. You only need to know that when I call, I speak with the king's voice." Slynt hesitated a heartbeat longer, then nodded. 500, he said. "My best lads. When you send, they'll come. That's a promise." "Promises," Baelish murmured, "are like whores, best kept when paid for." He snapped the lid of the chest shut. "We'll see that your captains walk away from tonight a little heavier than they came." Outside in the chill air, Ned drew in a long breath as if he'd been holding it. "You cannot buy loyalty," he said. "Not truly. You can rent it," Baelish countered. "For a time. That is often enough." Ned thought of Slynt's calculating eyes. "We'll see," he said. "Pray to whatever gods you keep that when the hour comes, Janos Slynt remembers which side of the gate he's meant to stand on." By nightfall the fever had crept back. Robert knew it by the way the world began to swim at the edges, by the heat pooling in his wound and spilling out through his skin. Every breath dragged a dull spear through his side. His mouth tasted of bile and poppy and old wine. Pycelle fussed. Servants changed the sheets. The fire flared and sank. When at last they left him, only Ned remained, a solid shape in the chair beside the bed, gray eyes watching. "You remember after the trident," Robert rasped. "When that night near took your head off and I poured ale on your neck? I remember you wasting good ale," Ned said. "The maester said it did nothing but make you smell like a tavern." "It made you laugh," Robert said. "You needed it. You looked like death." He shut his eyes briefly. "You look the same now." "You don't look much better," Ned said. "Try not to die. It would make this all more complicated." Robert huffed. "It might once have been a laugh. If I die, you'll see it done," he said. "Stannis on the throne. No Lannister bastards sitting where Ares Saturday. I will see no false king crowned while I live," Ned said. "You have my word on that." Swear it, Robert said. On your honor. On. He swallowed. On Lyanna, if you must. Ned's face tightened. I won't use her name like that, he said. But you have my oath. The tension in Robert's chest eased a fraction. He let his head sink back. Do you remember that boy in the forge? He asked after a time. Big arms. My jaw. Your frown. Gendry, that was his name. Yes, Ned said. Bastard of mine, Robert said. Maya in the Vale. The rest. I scattered them like seed and never spared them a thought. Yet everyone carries more of me than Joffrey ever did. He laughed softly, bitter. That's the joke of it. My line ends with a man cut open by a pig, while my true blood bangs away at horseshoes. You could still, Ned began. No. Robert's hand twitched. No time, no strength, and Stannis would hunt them if I tried. He opened his eyes. The ceiling swam. See to them if you can, if any of them cross your path. Tell them their father wasn't always a fat fool in a bed. You were never only that, Ned said. I was enough of it, Robert said. His voice grew softer. I thought winning the throne was the hard part. Killing Rhaegar, breaking the dragons. Turns out that was easy. You just swing till someone falls down. It's the sitting that breaks a man. Ned said nothing. There was nothing to say. I should have married Lyanna, Robert murmured. She'd have hated this city, hated me half the time. But she'd have told me the truth. His eyes unfocused. Instead, I took a lioness to wife and was surprised when she bit. He felt Ned's hand on his forearm, steady. Sleep, Ned said quietly. You've roared enough for one day. If I don't wake, Robert began. You will, Ned said. If I don't, Robert persisted stubbornly. Remember what you swore. No false kings. No Lannister on my throne. Don't let them make a song of me as some drunken fool who handed his crown to the first pretty boy with yellow hair. Ned's grip tightened. Rest, Robert. So he did. The fever pulled him under into waters thick and red. He drifted through dreams of the trident and of a bed in Winterfell strewn with blue winter roses. Somewhere, faint and far, Lyanna's voice whispered a promise he had never quite kept, and Robert Baratheon, who had once split a prince's armor with a hammer blow, lay small and still in his great bed beneath the antlered canopy. Janos Slynt was not a man who often found himself summoned to speak softly, yet the chamber where he met the queen that night was small and well-appointed, lit by a single brass chandelier and a brace of candles that smelled of honey. The walls were hung with Lannister crimson. A lion carved in gold watched from above the hearth. Cersei sat with a cup of wine in one hand, her other resting lightly on the lid of a narrow iron-bound chest on the table between them. She did not offer Slynt a seat. He took one anyway when she inclined her head the slightest fraction. Lord Janos, she said, these are busy days for you, I hear. Doing my duty, your grace, he said, trying not to stare at the chest. Gold cloaks keep the peace. That's what we do. Gold cloaks are useful, she agreed. They are also fickle, I am told. They develop loyalties. Her eyes were very green in the candlelight. You've been speaking with the hand. Slynt swallowed. He came with Lord Baelish. We just talked about arrangements like for the watch. She tapped the chest. Arrangements that involved coin. He didn't bother denying it. Men have families, he said. They like to know they'll eat if they do as they're told. And who do they think is telling them? Cersei asked softly. Eddard Stark? A northern wolf who will be gone as soon as my lord husband draws his last breath? Or the queen who remains? The grandfather who commands half the gold in the realm? Slynt felt sweat bead at his temple. I serve the crown, he said. Whoever wears it. The crown sits on my son's head, Cersei said. Not on Stannis Baratheon's, however much ink Stark waves about. And certainly not on Lord Stark's own. Her fingers tightened on the chest. Men are whispering that Robert has written, that he means to cast aside his own children. Will you help him do it? I don't know anything about letters, your grace, Slynt hedged. I just keep order. You keep order, she repeated. Let us speak plainly, then. There will come a day soon when someone will command you to take your men to the Red Keep, to stand before the Iron Throne with steel in their hands. Perhaps it will be the Hand. Perhaps it will be me. When that day comes, who will you obey? Slynt looked at her hand on the chest, looked at the lion over the hearth, thought of little houses in Flea Bottom, of wives and children and the short, sharp life of a man who chose the wrong patron at the wrong moment. I'm a simple man, your grace, he said. My lads follow my lead, and I follow the ones as can keep them fed and keep their heads on their shoulders. Cersei smiled, slow and cold. A sensible answer. She nudged the chest toward him. The metal scraped faintly on the tabletop. This is from my father. For the watch, consider it a token of his regard. Slynt's mouth went dry. Your grace is too kind. My father is not kind, she said. He is practical, as am I. When the time comes, Lord Janos, the gold cloaks will declare for the rightful king. They will move when I say move and strike where I point. Or I will find another man to wear that pretty cloak. Her eyes held his. Do you understand me? He did, very clearly. When the time comes, he said hoarsely, you'll have my lads, all of them, on my honor. Honor, she echoed, amused. Yes, let us call it that. She lifted her cup. He hefted the chest. As he left, the weight of it dragged at his arms, and at something deeper inside him. In the yard outside, the night air felt colder than it should. Above, the towers of the Red Keep reared against the stars, full of sleeping lords and dreaming servants and one sweating, feverish king who had no notion how many knives were being sharpened for the day his eyes finally closed.